Well, hey, good morning for April 3rd, 2024. My name is Adam Blue, and this is the BlueGamer Bluecast Mornings gaming news and talk show. The idea is, every morning we talk for 30 minutes, maybe more, about the games I've been playing and some of the latest news that's been just rolling around in my head that I just have to talk about. To start, I wanted to quickly touch on Dragon's Dogma 2, do a quick review of that for those that might be interested. This is probably game of the year for me so far. I thought Helldivers 2 would be that, but this just takes that concept a little further. And when I say that concept, there's similarities between Dragon's Dogma 2 and Helldivers 2. And really what it has to do with, there's these almost physics-based systems at play. And there's multiple systems. And then as you are playing these games, these systems collide and emergent gameplay forms from them. This reminds me of the things I like about Sniper Elite 5, which I mention all the time, how it has like these open worlds, you can do whatever you want, emergent gameplay, emergent storytelling, and it's interesting because Dragon's Dogma being an RPG, I'm not the type to play RPGs, but this is solely real-time action. It is based on your input, where you are going, how you're turned, how you're attacking, what you're choosing to do, and so for me, it gives me like full control of my character and the world I'm in. So I think I was addicted to Dragon's Dogma 2 because I was playing it a lot. I've been playing some Castlevania games, but I put them aside to just get into Dragon's Dogma 2, and oh man, I have had so much fun. I've put, I think, about 40 hours into it, and I got to the last boss, but I didn't mean to get to the last boss. What's really neat about that is after getting to that point, I realized, okay, this game can let you mainline it to the boss if you want. Yeah, you got to do some quests to get to that point, but you could do it really quick because I was lost for the first half of my experience and which is part of the game. It's like I couldn't really find where to get the rest of the quest or sometimes how to do a quest. I did have to look some things up online. For instance, I would say if you come across unique clothing, keep it, even if it's multiple copies. You might need it later, and so that became a little hard for me. I had to research online where I can find another copy, and I guess it was done on purpose. There's a certain clothing item that is abundant but hidden, and it's for a reason. Anyway, just throwing that out there. So I get to the last boss, and when you beat it, the game lets you then continue right before the last boss, so you can continue to do everything else and then beat the boss kind of like for the secret ending or whatever. And so I've decided that, for the weekdays, I'm going to take a break playing Dragon's Dogma 2 because I mainline it so fast, getting to that last boss, and there's so much I still want to do and discover. Like, I can't believe probably still half the map I need to look at maybe. So I love it. It's my type of game, and people complain about the frame rate, and sometimes it seems janky, and I get that. But it's easy for me to overlook that because there are these systems that, on one hand, I can count on being part of my gameplay experience, but also makes the gameplay experience unique because every time I play, every time there's an encounter, every time I'm with NPCs or going on a quest, there's always something happening that is just amazing, and I want to see more, and I want to see more because, even though there's a lot of non-fast travel in this game, which I think is done on purpose, there's always something you can find along the way. So, Dragon's Dogma 2, excellent game, totally worth it. It's interesting online seeing some people that are not into it, but I get it. It's a different type of game. It doesn't guide you, and some people, even me, depending on the game, prefer that. Like when you can look on a map and you can see everywhere you need to go, where everything is. This game doesn't do that. This game is like, try to figure it out. And I think Helldivers 2 is the same way. There's the objectives you got to do, but along the way, you got to figure out how to do them and then loot along the way. Anyway, there's another game I wanted to bring up real quick is that Disney Illusion Island that came out on Switch. It's a straight-up Metroidvania, and it's actually pretty good. I beat it. My wife and I played through it and beat it, and I would say that it is a really good game, but it's more lower on the list for me for those types of games. It reminds me of the recent Prince of Persia Lost Crown that I think a lot of people liked, and I get it. It's for me, it was more about platforming and obstacles, which is what the classic Prince of Persia was about. But this modern Prince of Persia is not that kind of straightforward obstacle dodging. It's more of a Metroidvania just with obstacles in it. So it's almost like there's two types of gameplay elements going on here, and I really, really only like one for a certain type of game and not for the other. And so this Disney Illusion Island was really just obstacle avoiding. There was no attacking enemies. It was just going through obstacles and dodging. And I've just learned that I don't care about that as much as like action exploration. It's funny. It reminded me of Super Meat Boy. In terms of the jumping, dodging, we see that in the Prince of Persia. And I think I Meat Boyed myself out back when Super Meat Boy came out, and games similar to that. I played the heck out of those, and I think I just got tired of it. So, the only other thing I could bring up that I've been playing is Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance. It will be my second playthrough since it first came out back in 2002, but I might have played it in 2003. I don't remember exactly. It's actually pretty decent. I kind of like how it. It's funny. All these Metroidvanias seem like they're the same, but there's nuances that make them different. In fact, with Harmony of Dissonance, I think the main thing here is it feels more like a traditional Castlevania made modern, but then those levels thrown into a Metroidvania style thing because there's very few fast travel points. Speaking of fast travel, like Dragon's Dogma, very few fast travel points. So there is a lot of backtracking, but the levels are almost played out like they are stages in the classic Castlevania. There's some places you'll go and there's really nothing there, or there's only one item. You'd only need to ever go there once, so it's almost like you're playing this level once, and then you're never going to travel there again unless you're lost. Which it's easy to do because that map features like an A-B map system where it's two maps, some of it overlaps, and so sometimes when you transport to one map, you got to do things that affect the other, and it's a lot of work to figure out what to do. Hey, let's jump into news. And you know what? While I brought up what I played, let me know below in the comments what you've played. I'm kind of interested in seeing what people are playing. But let's jump into the news real quick. The first thing is Blizzard open to licensing out Warcraft to the right partner. I find that very interesting. Especially now under Microsoft. That's kind of Microsoft's thing, is they're looking at who's the best partner to develop our IP. Because that's what they've got to do. A lot of these companies, one is reduce the budget, but make sure you're very clear with the developers you're working with. Like, we saw with Redfall how that didn't turn out too well, and Microsoft's going to be back on, like, making sure they offer the support needed. I could see Warcraft going to the right partner. For instance, have Relic make a Warcraft RTS. Relic with Company Heroes and all that. Even, was it Ensemble Studios, is it? That did the Age of Empires, the Halo. Why not have them do a Warcraft? And they're very competent at the RTSing, if you know what I mean. All right, this next one, Soldner X Complete Collection announced for Switch. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with this game, but the fact that it's getting a collection, that means there's enough people then. So the Soldner X games are shmups that appeared on PSN, on PS3, and then backwards compatible on 4, and the second one was on the Vita. They are really good shmups. I think it's, even though they're older, they're not super old though, I would say they're more of a modern take on shmups done in a very high production value way. You can get hidden keys on certain levels to find hidden paths. There's a lot to unlock. They're very good games. And this is something I would get. Just interesting that it's like Switch, although I don't know if it means, and I tried to look this up, that the physical edition is just Switch and then it's going to come out on all the other platforms, but it really does seem like that it's just Switch, it's weird that some of these games are just going on the Switch and not like PlayStation. But yeah. Let's see. Some new Xbox controllers announced, which, like I said, I love the Xbox Series X controller. I love the way they look, but there are so many third-party pro controllers that are just as much or cheaper than these official Xbox controllers that are non-pro, and they're just better. Do I have one with me? Yeah, this Vader 3 Pro. It costs just as much as an Xbox controller, but this is better than a Pro controller, Xbox Pro controller. It's got the trigger stops, it's got back buttons, it's got mechanical keys, Hall effect. there's and these extra buttons down here too. I love that for like old school games. It's very interesting, but it's cool. I think it's important that Microsoft keeps up the accessories, the controllers. I mean, that's hardware. Let's see. So Rockstar has revealed 2 more games coming to its GTA Plus subscription service. So one, I didn't even know there was a GTA Plus subscription service. So my bad for missing that. But actually, that's not a bad value if you consider all the games that Rockstar has made and all the content included with those. That's pretty neat. Something to look out for if you're into that. So Xbox Game Pass is adding the Lego 2K Drive. So I will say typically Game Pass games don't necessarily tickle my fancy. Usually when Xbox announces what their games are coming on Game Pass, I'm like, it's okay. Every once in a while there's something interesting to play. The only game that I think that I was hardcore into is Sniper Elite 5. That's like an awesome game to have on Game Pass, but this Lego 2K Drive looks good. It got good reviews. I like the idea of racing and building with Legos, so yeah, I'm down to check that out. Let's see. Exclusive Dead Cells developer to release a new Prince of Persia game in Steam Early Access. So weird things going on here. So Dead Cells developer to release a new Prince of Persia game. Okay. We just got a Prince of Persia game this year. And what's interesting is the Dead Cells DLC that came out last year was for Castlevania. So you'd think the Dead Cells developer would want to work on the Prince of Persia Metroidvania, but they're just having them do a Prince of Persia roguelike. And it could be that that really is mainly their thing, their rogue-style games, and not the Metroidvania. But it's just interesting that we're getting these 2 games from Prince of Persia in 1 year, and that Lost Crown apparently didn't do too well. I might need to look more into that, but I still find that odd. But it's Ubisoft, so that's good for them actually. I mean, because I'm just thinking, Konami, what are you doing with Castlevania? But anyway, yeah, very cool to see. I feel like people give Ubisoft crap, but I think they have a really good library of games, and they're always trying interesting things. So good on them for that. Dragon's Dogma 2 sells 2.5 million units. Let's see. At 2.5 million. So I guess that's pretty good, especially because it's only been like, what, a week or so? Dragon's Dogma 2 is awesome. I hope it sells well. I can't wait to see what DLC comes out. There's still more to go with this game, and like I said early at the beginning of the show, like I was playing through it too fast and too much. Like I need to slow down, take my time. This is a very fun world to be lost in. And let's see, Newzoo PC and console gaming grew by 3%. So in 2023. So what's interesting is with all this game crash, it's not really a game crash that's going on. I think it's just a bubble bursting of overinflated budgets in a post-COVID world. And it's the same thing the movie industry is going in. I think I talk about this all the time, but it still grew by 3%. And I think what's happening is gaming is always going to grow. It's just a lot of times publishers will push too much on one end to see if they can maximize, but they can't necessarily. Either you have that lightning in a bottle like Fortnite, or you just make something competently good like Helldivers 2. And that's how you're gonna win. You have a low budget with great gameplay. But we could still see if it's growing by 3% amidst all that's going on, we could see that the consumer side of the gaming industry is healthy. We just need to get that business end to really understand budgets, staff sizes, et cetera, et cetera. And all you have to do is look at Helldivers 2 to see what it was able to achieve. So I think that's it for the news. Sometimes I'll check and see if something new popped up since I slept. But no, I don't think so. I think a bunch more layoffs, Gearbox, Ubisoft. So that happened. But yeah, I think that's it for news. Something else to talk about is I've been getting into these retro handhelds lately, and even I there's this thing, and I don't know how to word it or explain it, and maybe I need to make a video about it, but it's that you can have a sort of dashboard on your browser that allows you to modify and manage synced folders of data between multiple devices. And I am doing this between Windows, Linux, Android, and what I'm syncing is my ROMs and saves library. So I have like, the main library is on my desktop PC, but now that I have it syncing, it's really just it could be anywhere. It's like a redundancy, right? So what happens is if I get a new device that can play emulated games, I install the emulators, and then I use SyncThing. That's the name of the program. I use SyncThing to then get those ROMs in and loaded. So if I'm playing on a new device, save my game, I'm going to be able to resume on another device, and I could do this between ROG Ally, desktop PC, Android phone, retro handhelds, and now the Amazon Fire Stick TV Max, I think it's called, or something like that. I'm still working that out because you got to like sideload stuff, and I mean, I guess I got most of it done. I'm just having, sometimes there's issues with the emulators depending on the platform. Like for instance, I'm enjoying Launchbox a lot more than Emulation Station, but Emulation Station just works fantastic on these retro handhelds that are running Linux. So maybe something to keep in mind. Like if you're really into having your game library everywhere that you need it so you can play at any time and resume your saves, look, the industry is going that direction with handhelds. Some other news I didn't bring up is just there's been more info about the rumored Xbox handheld, another Sony PSP. I was at a store the other day. I forget what store it was, but I just heard someone walking by saying, oh, Sony's going to have a new PSP. And I was like, okay, so this is actually getting out there and stuff. So I found that very interesting. I think that's going to be it for today's episode. I don't know what else is going on. For this weekend, I'm going to be playing some more Castlevania, maybe some Dragon's Dogma. Like I said, I needed to kind of reel back on that. I've been playing that a whole lot. But yeah, mainly some more Castlevania goodness. So anyway, thanks for joining this episode of the BlueGamer Bluecast Mornings. I'm Adam Blue. We will talk later.